Kia ora, good evening. Whitebaiting season kicked off at 5 a.m. this morning, but with southern rivers running high and dirty, conditions are less than ideal for fishers and whitebait alike. Fishers are being urged by the Department of Conservation to follow the one net per fisher, timeframes, distance from nets and net setting rules or risk prosecution. Dock compliance staff will be riverside this season and say whitebaiting etiquette, including not blocking fish stocks from other fishers, is common courtesy. With the delicacy fetching around $90 a kilogram and no catch restrictions, there are concerns about whitebaiters fishing purely for financial gain, which can lead to territorial complaints.
The rules are there for a purpose. They're there to protect the fish stocks, and they're there for future generations to enjoy.
There was one prosecution last year, but lots and lots of warnings. How much patrolling and how much presence will dock staff have this season? This
year we're working with the New Zealand Police to do some compliance as well, just to get them involved as well. They enjoy a day out on the river. So it's just helpful that all agencies work together. We're not there to ruin people's day. We're just there to make sure that people are following the rules. They're being fair. They're actually they're not making idiots of themselves. They're actually out there to have a good time. And look, we're there to make sure that everyone's enjoying themselves and they're following the rules. If we don't make any prosecutions because everyone's following the rules, that's our day, that's super. That just makes our day big time.
Stadium Southland was abuzz with people from all walks of life today as Southland fighters weighed in for tomorrow's Fight for Kids. 24 men and women will come head-to-head tomorrow for the Fight for Kids charity event in order to raise money for Invercargill's Ruru School. The event, run by organisers Dave Bartley and Stephen Boucher, returns for the first time since 2010, with 1,490 people booked in to full dinner tables and another 1,400 to fill the stands. This year will see the largest number for the event to date. With limited tickets available, organisers are urging the public to get in quick. The event will also screen on QTV at 9 p.m. Saturday, August 30th. There were just 76 property sales in Invercargill in July, which equates to just 1.3% of New Zealand's property sales activity. Last month, just 73 dwellings in 3 sections were sold in Invercargill. The modest number of sales is well down in comparison to July last year, when there were 98 property sales, including 6 sections. The 23% fall in sales follows the introduction of the Reserve Bank's loan-to-value lending restrictions and higher interest rates. The LVR restrictions were introduced to reduce inflationary housing pressures, particularly in Christchurch and in Auckland. An Invercargill man is turning his love of movies into a money-making mission.
The self-taught app designer has launched his first foray into the world of online gaming with a movie quiz and says it's taken some time and effort to learn the ropes.
I just looked up on the internet. I started off with the 200 video tutorials and just watched all those, bought a few books, went through those, and if you encounter a problem you can just Google how do you blah, blah, whatever and fix it.
The app, which is aimed at movie buffs, features questions relating to recent box office hits to some of the first movies to hit cinemas.
Yeah, because I'm such a movie buff, I think a few other movie quizzes games I played, there was a lot of current stuff, like just movies that have been released in the last year or something like that. So I've gone through silent movies, foreign movies, classics, really obscure stuff.
Broad's massive movie quiz has 1,250 questions, and there's a range of difficulty to keep users engaged.
So there's easy, medium, hard, ultra hard, and anyone can answer the easy ones. So basic here, it's like, what was a 1997 movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio? About a ship sinking.
The whole process has taken a titanic effort, with the code proving the biggest challenge.
The first time I downloaded the program that you do the coding on, I couldn't actually install it properly. It wouldn't work. So
it's only been available for a week, but Broad has high hopes for its potential.
I'm sort of aiming, based on other movie quiz or quiz apps on there, that maybe 50,000 would be. Who knows? It's all about discovery and seeing what's going to happen.
The longer people play the massive movie quiz, the more money is generated through ads.
It's good to have the downloads, but yeah, if you play it, the more time spent playing, the more ads are shown.
As often happens with creative brains, new opportunities spring to mind.
Yeah, I got a couple ideas I'm quite fond of, and I've researched and I can't find anything out there like it. Yeah, they're games, but it's.
Android users can download the app free from Google Play. Broad says his company, Open Range Games, will have more to offer soon. Margot Sutherland, South Today News.
And that app's well worth a go. Coming up after the break, remembering the departure of the first contingent of Southlanders after the Great War, and two William Hodges Fellows exhibit at the same time, and we have the week that was. Welcome back to South Today News. On the 17th of August 1914, the first Southland volunteer soldiers left for the First World War. To mark that centenary, there will be a special service on Sunday. Southland at Gallipoli 1915 to 2015 project convener Dr Aaron Fox says some 140 soldiers were farewelled in Invercargill a century ago, and it was therefore fitting to remember the occasion. Dr Fox says people are invited to come along to the cenotaph and the railway station on Sunday, and they can dress up in period costume. The mayors will also be dressed up in the spirit of the time. The events of 17th of August 1914 are being reenacted, with Invercargill Mayor Tim Shadbolt reading the speech made by his 1914 counterpart, Mayor Duncan McFarlane, while Southland District Council Mayor Gary Tong will be playing the part of Mr W.D. Hunt, President of the Southland League, who also addressed the departing troops. The commemoration begins at the cenotaph at 1 p.m, including the arrival of the New Zealand Army Colour Party, speeches and reading of Southland's casualty list for 1915, and a wreath-laying by the mayors. Dr Fox says those attending will then march to the railway station for the singing of the national anthem and Auld Lang Syne, and a symbolic wave goodbye to our boys as soldiers walk down the platform as if to embark on the train. The Southland Museum and Art Gallery is currently exhibiting the work of not one but two William Hodges Fellows. The Southland Art Foundation, with the support of the Southland Museum and Art Gallery, the Community Trust of Southland and SIT, award a William Hodges Fellowship each year to a New Zealand artist to live in residence here in Southland. At present there are two William Hodges Fellows exhibiting. Current Fellow Sam Mitchell and 2013's William Hodges Fellow James Robinson. I asked Southland Museum and Art Gallery Visual Arts Curator Irene Schroeder about the history of the fellowship and the work of James Robinson.
This is a very important part of our art culture down here in Southland. The foundation started in 1981, and in 1996 they had their first residencies. It's a very important one for Southland because it brings artists from throughout New Zealand through here to Invercargill and exposes the people down here, the community down here, to art of a very different nature from what they might see. Each artist is particular in their genre, and as you will see from these images today, it varies. For each residency, it's a whole new world for us.
It's very deliberate, isn't it, on behalf of the foundation?
We look at all the applications on their merits. It probably often happens that it gets quite distinct one from another. We're looking for what these people will say about Southland and what it will contribute to the community of Southland. And when I say contribute, I mean the SIT students, the people in the street, gives them a new perspective on this place that is theirs.
Sam and James, who are exhibiting at the moment, well, James, actually, there's only a couple of days, so people have to get out over this weekend and have a look at his work.
That's right, yes.
How rare is it to have two exhibiting at the same time?
I think this is the first time and probably the last time, just the way the timing has happened. With James, we've tended in the past with the William Hodges Fellow to have a smaller space, a smaller gallery kept for them. And as you see with Sam's space there, because often the residency is 6 months, so there's not that much work and it's a lovely tight exhibition. With James, his work is in a sense enormous and it is full of vigour. It needs a mass of space to be able to show the pieces. and I felt it needed a big gallery, but unfortunately our galleries were booked last year. It suited James too. He wanted to exhibit this year. So in the finish, this was the first date where we could get this big gallery. And as you can see, if you look around the works, to have put any of this into a small space would not have given it the right exhibition. He's the last resident who was housed at Burwell House. That's the old D Street Hospital beside McDonald's, and it's the last one because the building is in great disrepair. So if you look at the title of his exhibition, Paintings from the End of the World, it's not only Southland being so far south, but it's also him being housed this building, which he loved, and he loved that residency, but this building was crumbling and there were parts of it boarded up, which he wasn't supposed to go into, but he did, and this is the result of the work. It shows this debris, this decay. You'll see from the pieces themselves, they've got all sorts of mixed media in them. It's very hard to describe. It's very abstract, but it's very, very good work. This might send shudders down your spine, but it's strong, gutsy work, and there's no holds barred.
And we'll profile current William Hodges fellow Sam Mitchell next week. Well, that's all from the news team for this week. Sport is up next, but before that, we'll leave you with the week that was. Have a great weekend.